Greetings, everybody. Sean here. Let's get this started. Now, after Zhang Weili defended her strawweight title against the former strawweight champion and strawweight queen, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the UFC decided to change their women's pound-for-pound ranking. They moved Zhang up to number 2, which of course shifts Shevchenko down to number 3. Some people probably agree with this, some people probably disagree with this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through it to figure out where I stand on it. Now, 2 criteria that are a must in determining a pound-for-pound list, in my opinion, would have to be fight record and level of competition. Now, I know there are other variables that come into play, but those are 2 things that I think are definite criteria. Well, let's look at these ladies' fight records. Zhang Weili has 22 bouts under her belt. She has 21 wins and 1 loss. That 1 loss was her MMA debut. After that, she's been on a 21-fight win streak. Whereas Valentina Schevchenko also has 22 bouts under her belt, but she has 19 wins and 3 losses. One of those losses is a little bit controversial, but as the record stands, 3 losses. Now, I'm going to park this right here on a more friendlier picture while I finish discussing this topic. When you go strictly by the numbers, you got to give the check mark to Weili Zhang, because she has more wins to losses than Valentina Schevchenko. So therefore, that goes to Weili. But let's move over to level of competition. Now, I'm going to have to step back here for a second. I'm going to have to admit something. I am not an expert on women's MMA or MMA in general. I would like to think that I'm more than a casual fan, but in reality, I'm probably just a casual fan. So I'm coming to this with a certain level of ignorance, and I admit that. Now, that ignorance is not being familiar with a lot of the opponents of both these ladies. I'm more familiar with some of the opponents of Valentina Schevchenko more so than I am with the opponents of Weili Zhang. So, when I talk about level of competition, again, there's a certain amount of ignorance there, and probably biased because the organization I pay most attention to, as well as a lot of people, is the UFC. Now, the UFC is considered the creme de la creme. It's considered the place you want to be. It's considered the top of the pile as far as, the world of MMA goes. Now, maybe that they have the highest level of competitors in the UFC, or maybe it's just where the UFC's popularity, it makes people think that the UFC has the highest level of competitors. But, that's what I'm going with. So, as far as level of competition, I'm giving that check mark to Valentina Schevchenko. Now, again, I come at this with a certain amount of ignorance. And if there are people out there who are more familiar with the opponents that each woman has faced, and, they want to make a correction as far as the level of competitors that each woman has faced, then I more than welcome you to do so in the comment section down below. I more than welcome you to educate me in that regard. But as it stands, I'm giving the level of competition check mark to Valentina Schevchenko. Now, when you break down their records, because that comes into play too. It comes into play, well, who are these women fighting? How are they winning? That plays into it as well. And when you look at Weili Zhang, she has 2 KOs, 8 TKOs, 6 submissions, 4 decisions. Now, I didn't break the decisions down as far as unanimous or split decision or whatever the case may be, but anyway, 4 decisions. And she has 1 loss, and that loss came by a decision. Well, if you go over to Valentina Schevchenko, she has 1 KO, 5 TKOs, 7 submissions, 6 decisions. She has 3 losses. 1 loss was a TKO, but that loss is a very controversial loss, considering the loss came due to an illegal upkick, which cut Valentina Schevchenko, which therefore stopped the bout. A lot of people feel that should have been ruled a no contest. But it was ruled the way it was ruled, and it's on the record, so that's what we got to go with. She also has 2 decision losses. Now, what makes this very interesting is that she has a unanimous decision loss and a very close split decision loss. Both of these to the same person, both of these to Amanda Nunes, Amanda Nunes, who is a 2-division champion and is the #1 pound-for-pound female fighter in the world. That makes a huge difference. You know, who you lose to makes a difference. And I feel that losing to the woman who would eventually become the pound-for-pound 2-division champion is very significant. And a lot of people feel that Valentina Schevchenko should have won the second bout that they've engaged in. So you have one controversial and one semi-controversial loss in regards to Valentina Schevchenko. Also, I know a lot of people, they probably think that Weili is the more exciting fighter of the two, but the reality is, when you talk about pound for pound, you're talking about skill for skill. You're talking about if you take this person from this weight class and that person from that weight class, and you could somehow get them in the same weight class and have them fight, you know, this person would win. Excitement has nothing to do with that. Charisma has nothing to do with that. Pay-per-view buys, ability to sell out arenas has nothing to do with pound for pound list. That's an important factor people need to take into consideration. Also, there are a lot of people who will sit there and say that Valentina Schevchenko, pound for pound, can even be crossed over to the male list. She would say, male or female, she's top-ranking pound-for-pound fighter. No, maybe they just do that because there was some hype around Valentina Schevchenko for a while, you know, especially at the start of the 125 division. But, you know, that needs to be taken into consideration. Pretty soon they'll probably say the same thing about Weili Zhang. Who knows? But I think what makes me, another factor I want to place here is that Valentina Schevchenko has fought in 2 separate divisions. Now, again, I am not sure how many divisions or weight classes Weili Zhang has fought in. That's where the ignorance comes in, so I'm just going with what I know. Corrections are welcome in the comment section. But Valentina Schevchenko has fought at 135 pounds in the bantamweight division. Valentina Schevchenko was doing extremely well in the bantamweight division in the UFC. Valentina walks around about 130, 135, between that weight, somewhere around there. All right? The women she was fighting were cutting weight to make weight at 135, which by the time they were fighting, Valentina was probably facing off against women who had 10, 15, 20 pound weight advantage on her. So not only was she fighting in a higher weight class, but she was also dominating heavier women in that weight class. That is something that really needs to be taken into consideration, especially talking about pound for pound, because she shifted weight classes. Also, she faced off against the former strawweight queen in Joanna Jędrzejczyk and defeated her. Joanna came from a lower weight class up. So she fought people from 2 separate weight classes. Now, I'm sure Weili Zhang has done the same thing too, but you know, as far as Valentina goes, technically speaking, she fought in 135 and she fought at 125. That factors into it as well. And I think it's because of that where I would give the slight split decision edge to Valentina Schevchenko. Now, running through it again, yes, Weili Zhang has more wins under her belt. Yes, Weili Zhang, you know, as far as ability to finish fights and everything, you know, hers is slightly more impressive than Valentina Schevchenko's. But when you go against the level of competition, fighting in a weight class where you're facing off against bigger women, you know, to me, that plays into it. So that's why I say it's a very close split decision why I'm giving this to Valentina. At least for now. Now, those are my thoughts on that. If you have your thoughts, leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching the video. Hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.